Beautiful song. It's definitely more than a season. What if we knew that the holiday experience is simply a reflection of ourselves? Would we choose to see the holidays differently? Would we even pause to recognize that we are the gifts of God? That each and every one of us present here today is a gift of God. And what if we were to share that gift with one another by appreciating each other a little bit more? Imagine what our connections would be like if we could simply appreciate one another, especially those that are unlike us. Imagine that connection. I imagine that connection being just unobstructed from judgment, from a facade of trying to be someone else that we're not. An inner flow of joy that oozes through us with ease. Now, the Consumer Reports, they've done research on the holidays, and what they found is that every 9 out of 10 people delight in the holidays, except we also carry on the holiday annoyances that come with the holidays. And that term, holiday annoyance, is often referred in the Urban Dictionary as the BAHAMBUG. The BAHAMBUG. Can we say that word together? BAHAMBUG. Yes. So some of the BAHAMBUGs or holiday annoyances that we experience with the holiday delights is the following, and they're in no sequence, it's just out of order. And let's see if we can connect to some of them. You may connect to some or all. And one of the holiday annoyances, which is not mine, by the way, is the ongoing holiday music that we hear everywhere that we go. It's at the pet store, it's at the salon, it's at the car wash, it's on the elevator, it's in the lobby, it's on the radio, it's in our home. It's everywhere. Now, I love the holiday music, especially the holiday music here, right guys? Now, there's other holiday annoyances or BAHAMBUGs, such as those aggressive drivers during the holidays, or those insensitive shoppers that we interact with, right? Do we know some of those? Yeah. The other holiday annoyance could be just the accumulation of debt, right? Of having to buy everyone a gift because, God forbid, we disappoint someone for not giving them a gift. Ooh. Well, the next holiday annoyance is probably one that we can kind of relate to. So I'm going to ask let's take a deep breath just to prepare our consciousness. So this holiday annoyance could also be a certain relative, a certain friend, a certain person that we interact with during this holiday season. Now, what all of these holiday annoyances have in common is that they're all based in the outer realm. And so when we are focused in that outer realm, we mislead ourselves in believing that what's happening in that holiday store is our experience of joy. Or what's happening in that living room of our family is our source of joy. On the contrary, Eric Butterworth, classic Unity author, one of my favorites, shares that joy is not a reactionary emotion, that joy is a causative power that resides within each and every one of us. I'm going to say that again. Joy is a causative power that resides within each and every one of us. So what this means is that our joy is not in the material possessions or gifts that we give, don't receive. The joy is within us. The power is within us because our joy is not out there. Now the other is our joy is not in the bahambug moments that we experience out there, because our power is not out there. Our power is right where we are. We are the causative power of joy. And the reason why it's important for us to remember that we are the causative power of joy, is so that we can start to claim it more in our lives, especially in those bahambug moments. Now, I want to ask a question, but I'm going to need a little bit of help here. So I brought the help with me here. Is anyone experiencing a Grinch? Is there a Grinch stealing your Christmas? Is there a Grinch stealing our Christmas? And maybe our Grinch isn't as cute as this one, right? So what is our Grinch? What is our Grinch? Our Grinch is that phase of mind of ours that's triggered by those bahambug moments. So each time we're triggered, we just fill our mind with ideas of thought and limitation, which conceals our joy. And those thoughts could be frustration. It could be a little bit of discontentment. It could be a little bit of anger, or maybe all of the above. So we start to complain, we start to blame each other. So what I love about the story of how the Grinch stole Christmas is that it's a story about joy. It's written by Dr. Seuss. And so in the story, there's this evil character, and he's very vindictive, and he's just unhappy all the time, and his name is Grinch. And so he lives just north of the land of goodness. The land of goodness. And in that land of goodness, there is no ounce of evil, meaning that everyone who lives there is joyful. So what do we think the Grinch wants to do with a heart that's 3 sizes too small? He tries to make their life miserable. He steals their gifts, he steals their food, he steals all the holiday packages, he steals everything that reminds us of Christmas. And so, if this were to happen to us, oh my goodness, we would have an uproar, right? Would you guys have an uproar? This happened to you? It'd probably top those bahambug list, right? So, back to the story, the people who live in the land of goodness, because they have no ounce of evil, the actions of the Grinch does not faze them. It does not faze them because they know that Christmas is not in the outer realm. It's not in the physical gifts. Christmas is in their heart. And so, while the Grinch is busy stealing things away from them, they're coming together with delight. And what that means is that they're appreciating each other. And so they start singing. And you're probably wondering, well, what was the Grinch's reaction when he saw that his tactics were not coming through? Well, let's find out what his reactions were. So in the book, it shares, and the Grinch stood puzzling. How could this be so? It came without ribbons, it came without tags, it came without packages, boxes, or bags. And he puzzled there for 3 hours, till his puzzler was sore. And the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. So at the end of his new awareness, the Grinch's heart grew 3 sizes bigger. Therefore, he saw that even though his tactics didn't work, he was able to open his heart. So he returned the gifts, he returned the food, and he even served them each food. Wow. So what does this story mean for us? What it means for us is that we already know what our Grinch is. It's those thoughts and feelings that withhold us from experiencing our joy. And so the land of goodness represents our higher state of mind. Our higher state of mind. And in the Bible, that higher state of mind is referred to living heaven on earth. So when we're in that higher state of mind, we have access to pure thoughts such as joy, love, and appreciation. And so when we focus on appreciation, we have the ability to surpass anything in the outer realm. And not only that, because joy is a causative power, we have the ability to expand that joy onto others who have a heart that's 3 sizes too small. So if we're going back to that point of our BAHAMBUG being a certain family member or a certain coworker, we can just think that if we decide to center ourselves in appreciation, we can, as the causative power, have an effect on them. And what I love about this point is that it allows our inner joy to flow to its fullest. And science supports this point, meaning the Heart Math Institute has done a study on the heart. And what they found is that when we get frustrated, that our mind does not think properly, which we already kind of know that. And it's also hard for us to show up at our very best. But here's the other part. When we generate a feeling of appreciation in our heart, we have access to our best intelligence, which means that we show up as our best selves. We have access to other thoughts and ideas that allows us to be innovative in the midst of our BAHAMBUG moments. Now, you're probably thinking, well, that sounds great, but how do we apply it into our lives? As a teacher, I like to learn by either demonstration or through an example. So here's one of my examples in hopes that you would see how it works. So my BAHAMBUG happens to be my thoughts and feelings about my dad. My thoughts and feelings about my dad is my BAHAMBUG, my Grinch. So my dad, he likes to put up Christmas lights. And you're probably thinking, well, I don't see that being an issue. Well, here's the issue. He loves to put these Christmas lights and he leaves them up for 365 days a year. 365 days a year, these lights are on. So you can just imagine, and I'm not kidding, and you can just imagine the BAHAMBUG or the holiday annoyance that is for my family, especially for my mother who lives with my dad all the time. And so I have the choice in this example to see my dad through that Grinch point of view and complain about him and blame him for everything. Or I can step into that land of goodness and see him through a feeling of appreciation. So that was tough for me. That was tough for me. So I had to take a moment. And it was tough for me because of my relationship with my dad. So how I did it, I had to think about appreciation. And I had to think about something that I appreciate. And something that I appreciate is my dog. She gives me that unconditional love. So I filled my heart with that appreciation. And then I asked myself, right after I did that, how can I appreciate my dad? And the very first thought that came to my mind, because I was in my heart, was, I appreciate that my dad bothers to put up Christmas lights up when no one else does. And because I was already in my heart, other thoughts that were like-minded started to pop up. Then I thought, my dad is 75 years old, and no one half his age is putting up these lights. Wow. And then that thought led to other thoughts. Oh my gosh, my dad believes that Christmas is every day of the year. Wow. Isn't that beautiful? He believes that Christmas is every day of the year. I love that. And this is the part that's coming up that really went deep, deep into my heart. So much that I started to cry in the privacy of my own home. is that my dad is also struggling with dementia. So we can just imagine why those lights were up every day of the year. And they were up because if you're going through dementia, you need a sign of hope. So having the lights up every day of the year allowed him to remember hope. It allowed him to remember the power of love that comes with the holidays when he spends it with his family. And the other one was joy. He was able to realize that he can experience joy regardless of his condition. Wow. That gave me a whole different perspective from being the Grinch complaining about the lights, or stepping into the land of goodness and appreciating not only my dad, but myself and the entire community. So imagine the power of appreciation, of how that allows our inner joy to unfold if we just take time to make that shift. So now, to summarize the entire conversation today, if there's anything for us to remember today, is to remember that we are the causative power of joy. Joy is not out there, it's right where you are. As we reveal it by generating a feeling of appreciation, we allow that inner joy to express to its fullest. And so I want to close with one thought, with one wish for us all during the holidays. And maybe we can take a nice deep breath and go into our hearts. And what I wish for the holidays is that we become more aware of how much we are that gift of God. And we open ourselves to appreciating one another so that we can reveal the joy that we are. And so it is. Thank you.